No
Thank
worries.
you
Of
so
course.
much, Billy, for speaking to
Yeah,
me.
yeah, sure.
This movie has so many beautiful, sad, perfect human moments to this. So, what I wanted to know from you, looking at the script, what were the beats that immediately stood out to you?
Yes, so I wrote the script with my writing partner, and it is a movie about divorce, but
Mhm.
we took that as sort of a jumping off point to really just explore, family and family dynamics and parenting and relationships and love. So, every scene, every moment was, to us about custody in all its forms, about how we take care of each other in difficult times. So um we wanted to make the film feel very human, and like you said, and very real and believable, and something and intimate, and something that audiences could really feel close to throughout.
Right. Now, what I love is the characters, I don't feel that there's hate anywhere in anyone's heart. It's more of just growing apart. Can you talk about that dynamic? Because we've seen before the hate, but the love is still there.
Yes, I mean, it was, that's something that, for example, drew Billy Porter to the project, and he's talked about it was about love and hope, and, showing that the end of a relationship can be just as important and beautiful as the beginning of one. We never wanted it to be a film about suffering, or to be too bleak. It was always intended to be warm and loving, and about how we express love and communicate love in different ways. And sometimes, you know, um, we're all flawed in that. So we wanted to celebrate those flaws, and to celebrate all of our flaws and failures as well as our successes.
Now, what's interesting, this is also a custody battle that ends up happening with this. Um, and it really, to me, felt like both parties were right in a way. So
Yeah.
how do you was it any intention for the audience to take a side, or did you want this to be kind of as neutral as possible?
Yeah, I mean, I think the best sort of conflict, or argument or fight scene is one in which both characters appear to be right, and that makes it the most engaging for the audience, because they can sort of ping pong back and forth, and oh, that's a good point, and oh, well, that's an even better point, and then really think about that, and empathize with both characters at different times in different ways. So that was very intentional. We never wanted to make any character sort of the classic villain, but to really make them all human and all right, in the sense that they're just coming from their own places, where they are at the time.
Do you view the character who Billy Porter's character as someone who cheated, or is it more of an emotional pull elsewhere?
Right. Yeah. So, the conventional reaction to him, that some audiences might have, is that, oh, he cheated and he's the bad one. But we wanted to show, and we even put it in there in through dialogue, that it was for him just a way to get out, and to sort of sometimes when you're in a marriage that isn't working, you need some sort of catalyst to just create that change and to
Mhm.
get the ball rolling. So, that was really what it was for us and for him.
So when writing the script, did you view cheating in different categories in terms of emotional, physical, or maybe just out of boredom?
Yeah. I mean, they talk about the fact that they have an open marriage, which, I think, it may slip by some audiences, but this is a very universal story and very relatable both to queer and non-queer audiences. And we embrace that because divorce is something that and even marriage is something we associate mostly with straight people because gay people haven't really haven't had the right to marry for very long. And with the right to marry comes the right to divorce. But we also didn't want it to be completely sort of heteronormative. So we included that fact, which is a little bit more common in gay relationships. So there's more acceptance of and we call it less cheating and just sort of just kind of not needing to follow the norms and conventions of marriage, even though we have the right to marry, which is certainly a right that we deserve to have, but we can also create it and make it how we want. And it's for the two characters, it's about we wanted it also to ground it in some sort of need, some sort of emotional need, whether it's a physical need, or just a need to feel seen or felt or loved, so it was really mostly about that.
Was that always the initial goal, was to create a gay divorce because it's not seen so much in films because the rights have not always been there?
Yes, it was, it was a way it was something we hadn't seen before explored in a feature film. And, it gave us an opportunity to kind of move beyond kind of coming out and first love stories, which is, what we've seen a lot of in queer films, to a kind of more mature place, a more sort of progressed uh, uh, place, and to kind of, in a way, it sort of celebrates the progress that we've made, that we have the right to divorce, that we can marry, but also go through a breakup. People break up. That is human. That was something that was exciting to us and that we embraced with the movie.
Right. I was interested in the fact that because it is an open marriage that they have, as was writing this, did that allow for, I don't want to say more freedom, but it didn't restrict you so much as opposed this was the traditional sense marriage.
Yeah, I mean, we we also it's there, but it's not a big part of the film. Most of it is focused on kind of, when you're going through a divorce, you also have to take care of your everyday life. And a divorce kind of brings into relief all those things you take for granted, like your relationship with your partner, with your child, with your family, with your friends, with your work. So it allowed us to focus on those things. And those are things that everyone can relate to.
Right. I'm interested also in kind of the music selection. It's very beautiful. And when I was able to see it first over at Tribeca Film Festival, they performed together, Billy
Yeah.
and so can you talk about that arrangement in terms of the music and what you really wanted to set with the tone when involving music?
Yeah, music is really important to me. So the music in the film was very important to me, both the score and the songs you hear in the background or at the club. Um, and with the score, I worked with this Norwegian composer who really sort of captured the tone perfectly. It's warm without being overly sentimental, and it kind of captures a sort of kind of fairy dust quality. That's what we talked about, that sprinkling on these characters just to kind of say that what they're going through is hard, but also kind of magical because they're changing, and change is good. And then Billy, was inspired to write a song for the movie before the movie was even shot. Like he played it for me
Mm.
when in our first meeting. He was like, I wrote a song for the movie. And I was like, you did? That's amazing. And he played it and it was just so beautiful. And um and then he recorded it as a duet with Luke because Luke is also an amazing singer. It just so happened. So it evolved into a duet that they recorded, and it plays over the credits of the movie. And it's called Always Be My Man. And he's releasing it as part of his album that just dropped. It's going to be the single is going to be released on December 29th and added to the album. And it really captures the feeling that we all wanted from the movie at the end, which is one of hope and optimism, and a feeling that, just because this relationship is ending in one form, it is everlasting in other ways.
Was there a reason as to hope instead of the other route?
Yes, I mean, that was something that was always our intention. We never wanted it to be, we wanted it to be, a heartbreaking film. We embrace that it's sadness, but we never wanted the audience to feel depressed or the film to be too bleak because, there's so much suffering in the world
Mhm.
that we all want something to feel hopeful in the end. So that was built into it and to the ending. And we wanted this feeling of rising above conflict and rising above our differences and reconciliation and hope and moving on was always kind of built in to the movie from the writing to every part of it.
Right. Now, not I'm not going to spoil like the in, but I was interested in why choosing that character to kind of say, I'm sorry, let's rearrange. This is not working in terms of the very ending.
Yeah. So both characters are going through their own journeys, but they're kind
Mhm.
of in different places. And, one of them is maybe further along, and the other one is playing catch up. And there's a real beauty and poignancy to the one who's sort of blindsided and trying to just catch up with what is going on. And, the ending of the movie is really kind of a new beginning for him. So we wanted the ending to feel like a beginning in that way for this
Now I'm
character.
interested also in the locations. You had the club scene and how you wanted that to look. The colors also really play an interesting part in that as well. Can you
Yeah.
talk about setting those colors and also the location, how that impacts what you wanted to write?
Yes, I mean, locations so important. In a small budget film, we wanted to shoot on actual locations just because we wanted the movie to feel very real, very lived in, to believe that these characters exist in the world. So we wanted that sort of reality and that grittiness, but we also wanted to elevate it through beauty and show that these characters are beautiful. And part of that is through color. The costume designer, Aubrey Lofer, is really just incredibly talented and brought so much texture and color and warmth to the characters. Because again, we didn't want it to feel too bleak or too sad. We wanted it to be warm and inviting, and really sort of, you know, invite audiences in, to this world that we were creating.
Right. Also, there's a shared friend group, like in all marriages, the incorporation of that, and also they go through the struggle because it feels like they have to pick and choose as well. You
Yeah.
talk about involving them and the importance of their voice as well.
So important. That was something we were very intent on getting in there from the beginning, from the writing stage. And it's not easy in a 90-minute film to include those characters, to include that friend group, and even to include the biological families too. You don't often see that in divorce movies. But, divorce affects everyone who cares about the people going through it in different ways. But we also wanted to show that these are people having their own lives, trying to have their first child, or in the beginnings of a new relationship, or having had a long-term relationship, or dealing with the retirement. So they're all kind of dealing with their own personal things while also trying to support our leading characters and what they're going through. And like I said, it's every scene almost is about someone taking care of someone else. So
Mhm.
it's um, whether it's Billy's character taking care of his friend who's in the hospital, getting ready to have a baby. Nikki's characters, Luke's character, Nikki's parents, the mom is trying to take care of the dad who's going through retirement. So, um, we wanted them to feel like full characters and not just characters who were there to as sounding boards, or, just to support the
Right.
leads.
And then just lastly, the child who is witnessing all of this, giving, giving them a voice, the importance of that as well, instead of just having them standing beside being silent.
Right. I mean, yes. I mean, we didn't want the child to just be the sort of pawn or the canary in the coal mine, but also for him to have a character and a
Mhm.
voice. And so, we it's at the age of 8, he's also going through uh, a time of transformation and maturing, and he has to take care of this little plant for school, and he sort of struggles with that, and that's his own form of custody, is having to take care of this plant, which he struggles with throughout the film. And so it was definitely built into the writing to make his character. It's not about him. It's not from his point of view, which is another movie for sure, because the effects of divorce on a child are significant. But we also didn't want him to feel, yes, just sort of there or like a pawn. And a lot of it was the casting and the performance of Christopher as Owen, who just brought so much of himself to the part. He just was there and was the character. And so you feel like he's a fully formed person.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for speaking to me.
Yeah, thank you. It was a pleasure. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.